Welcome, Collective. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot, getting ready to do a message for whoever is here, whoever is witnessing with me in the presence of this reading. All are welcome. This is for whoever feels drawn to this message. I do feel like I am speaking to a very specific group of you. And perhaps this is because of a meditation that brought me to the table this morning. And that was the appearance of a cave. This was a cave in the side of a mountain. And the cave not only was a series of hollow passageways that led deeply into the mountain, but it also gave, when turned back towards the exit of the cave, presented a magnificent overview of a large and expansive terrain of some sort. This was on the side of a mountain, high on a mountain. And what it's showing me is a place where many of you have been. Some very voluntarily, others you have created this space for yourself without intention. So I pulled some cards from the Wild Unknown Archetype deck to describe. Specifically, I pulled the cave because that's what I was seeing, and I wanted to understand better what the significance of the symbol was. And I also then pulled the two cards on either side of the position of the cave within the deck. And so I'm going to start there with the cave and describe a little bit more of the sense that prompted me there. So from the Wild Unknown Archetype, I am scanning and reading from the guidebook for the cave. There are other names for the cave: the dark, the portal, or the interior. And I do feel that many of you have been in this place rather surprisingly. It isn't a place that you intended to go, but it's a place where you find yourself and you are resisting the urge to burst out. The interior of the cave is showing you something, and you're allowing yourself patiently to stay in this space. It is isolated. It is outside of your normal social intercourse. You are saying no to opportunities to step outside of this interior space into the world, and you feel for some reason that it is important for you to stay here. So this is those who persevere or journey to find and enter the cave are forever changed. It's a place of potent power, acting as both a portal to another realm and a space for sacred ritual and initiation. And this is what I feel that you are activating at some level of an initiation, an entrance into a new realm, a new level, a new experience. This is the cave is a place to return for meaningful retreat where one can see the true self in the darkness. The cave is known to reside in the center of the heart, within its walls. The whispers of compassion and self-understanding can be heard, yet, because of its mystery and power, many of us fear the cave and never try to find it, or let alone to enter it. Where is your cave? You already know. Return to it and tend the fire. Crystals of enormous magnitude slowly and steadily grow within the dark confines of the cave. Let the cave teach you patience. So I find this incredibly gratifying image. It very much is describing some of what I am experiencing. And I also pulled a glyph card, and lo and behold, the number 25, which is the number of the chariot, which among many things really helps us to center in our heart, to protect our heart with that armor. That armor is our intentionality, our desired nature, the goal that we see. And I pull the card of the cave and retreat. And I love this is a really beautiful photo, and I'm not sure how clearly you can see it here because it is very much, this is more of a formal temple that appears to be carved out of a cave, but this is the way the orifices or the entrances, the passages looked in my meditation, a series of passageways, however short or long, that keep leading deeper and deeper into the side of the mountain. And I do feel that this is about the recesses of the heart because during this meditation, I went through each of my chakras and establishing alignment with the earth. And the heart chakra was the most liberating, the most free, the most easy, the most calming and relaxing. And this is not often the case in my meditation. So I do feel there's something about the ability to look into one's heart. And then I pulled the Starborn first. I'd never pulled this one before, so I'm going to again read from the wonderful guidebook that contains a couple of ideas that I think are important to what I'm getting. So, let me remove the stickies. The other names for the Starborn are the Divine Child, the Star Child, and the Destined. An elusive yet radiant aspect of the self, the Starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of light that arrives with each being at birth. So this is an important alignment with sort of astrological moment that is captured at birth, so that the stars constellate in a unique way that maps our path in the world as we crown from the mother's uterus. The idea of destiny is controversial, yet the starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself toward a future that is beyond the mundane. So I believe there are many of you that I'm speaking to that have experienced this sense of feeling that there is a specific path, mission, or service that you came here to activate, to align with, to provide. When this card appears, travel back to your birth story for clues and insights. Practice seeing your fire, your life from a mythic point of view. And this brought me to a whole experience of aligning oneself with childhood stories that deeply resonated, or a favorite story, or a story that taught you something, or that you found mysterious. I know as many children, I was enchanted by fairy tales of all sorts, but it wasn't that they were telling me happy stories. With the exception, even with some of the ones that have been Disneyfied and beyond recognition, the endings were rarely happy in the way that one wants to think is befitting of a childhood imagination. They were actually quite mysterious to me, and I didn't understand them. That was part of the source of the fascination. So looking back into stories that you read or learned of, and for me, the stories that resonate most strongly were not stories I heard when I was young. Generally, I was intrigued by fairy tales, but it wasn't until I was older and began to read that stories, significant stories, became important to me and stayed important throughout my life. So that's something I'm suggesting to those of you that are experiencing the sense of deep interior retreat at this moment and this realignment with your sense of destiny or destination. And the card that came out with that from the glyph is number 38, which is 11. That's usually the strength. In some decks, it can be the justice card. Both of them are relevant, but the symbols here are the sun and vitality. So this really speaks to our destiny, our destination, our purpose being the reason we're here, and how astrologically the sun really points to, in my view, what we came here to learn. The moon shows us what we came with, our history, our past, our memories, but the sun really is about why we came here, what we're learning. And depending on the sun sign, you can have had many iterations of trying to learn a specific lesson, or you can come into a life with many lessons or purposes to activate depending on your own experience and story. And then on the other side of the cave was the shapeshifter. I associate this card with the trickster aspect of the magician card. But I'm going to read again from the guidebook. And other titles for this card are the trickster, the elusive, the formless. The shapeshifter has a love of theater, games, and trickery. Its energy appears as one thing only to reveal a more complex story beneath the surface. It's the side of ourselves that's slippery, non-committal, and experimental, and longs to dismiss the rules. We need its energy to adapt to the ever-changing landscape of our lives, of our existences, and of our own internal needs and desires. Imagine you're looking at life through a kaleidoscope. At any moment, the scene may shift, revealing a more enchanting vision than you imagined. And I do believe that this can speak to the ego of the trickster energy, the strategist, one who is always maneuvering to get some kind of transgressive result, or to move in a way that is unexpected, but eventually appears to triumph over a situation. The shapeshifter requires a central pillar of integrity that links us back to our center, thus speaking to that idea of the ego, right? We need integrity in order not to abuse this powerful ability. The ultimate shapeshifter works undercover in service of the greater good. The diminished shapeshifter becomes a people pleaser. And again, for many of you that have been on either side of that, this really speaks to the way that we have adapted to the changing circumstances in our lives, to the changes within us, but also I think the way others see us as shifty, as amorphous, as formless, as non-committal, as not declared, not stepping out in one camp or another. And the card that came along with that was number 6, which is the number of the lovers, and this is smoke and cleansing. So this speaks again to the idea of ritual and or initiation, that this is sacred space, that even your body contains an alchemy of sacred energies that are looking to reconstellate themselves as you evolve, develop, become more aware, become more conscious of your power. And the cave does represent, in some way, a place that you had not expected to arrive to. Although there is no doubt that you understand that this Sacred retreat contains the seed of your purpose, your destination, your journey. And so this requires a lot of courage, a lot of patience with yourself, a lot of honoring and respecting who you are in this moment and what your needs are. And this can be, again, flying in the face of our social experience. So I have laid out a few cards for the present, past, and future. I'm going to clarify those. But if this reading is resonating to you, please like this video, share it with others. If you are moved to do so, subscribe to my channel, Pacific Tarot, and I love your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So whatever way you support me, it is deeply appreciated. So first, for the present, we have the Six of Staffs. This shows that you're experiencing some kind of modest victory in the context of a group, a collective, a community. You're doing your part in a way that is, for many of you, exemplary. And in order to do it, I do believe that you have moved yourself into a place where you recognize that whatever skills or talents you have, you are allowing yourself to activate those skills, that knowledge, that gift in social settings and in interactions. You accept the responsibility of being a community member or a team member. And in order to truly be that, you are having to get outside of yourself in a way that may feel uncomfortable a lot of times, when you'd really rather be in your own space, nurturing this vision of empowerment that you're experiencing. But as a result of the ability to recognize that being with others is part of the teaching that you came here to learn. We learn in our relationships, depending on what your lessons are. For some of us, it's simply a matter of learning how to love, how to be, learning how to love ourselves in the midst of community and the people pleaser energy that the shapeshifter speaks to is really, this is a healing towards that, right? How do we be among people and not just simply try to facilitate what everyone else wants, making others happy, making others successful? This may be a challenge for many of you that I'm reading for. In the past, the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Jades in this deck, it's telling me that you're on a path of manifestation for many of you. You have moved through a series of challenges, lessons, obstacles, and gotten to a place where you understand that the responsibility for your life is yours, that you have the power and capacity to define your reality on your own terms. It doesn't mean that you can have everything you want when you want it, but really understanding that you can manifest what you want when you're in alignment with what is for the highest good of all, primarily yourself. And for many of you, putting yourself first, having the things that you deserve, feeling worthy of those things has been a lifelong journey, and has been, as some of you are discovering, one of the key blocks to having what you want has been yourself. The sense that you're not really deserving, worthy, or that you don't really need the things that other people have, or that you have helped other people to get. And in the future, we have the Death card, or in this case, I would say the rebirth. So there is no denying that you are going through a major transformation. And I'm pointing to, at this point, the planet Pluto, which is stationary retrograde. It may be fully retrograde by the time that you are receiving this message. But that idea of standing still, of course, that is an optical illusion. That's the planets appear to go backwards because we're looking at them from the perspective of Earth. Planets do not go backwards. However, psychologically, this can symbolize the opportunity to stop, contemplate your purpose, your destiny. Am I achieving that? Is it important to me anymore? What am I learning about my destiny that I didn't know before? What does my destiny look like, and how will it feel when I get there? Certainly, I can't possibly be feeling the way I feel now and be achieving what I desire. So, how am I releasing that? How am I releasing the sense of fear, anxiety, lack of worthiness, self doubt from my life, the things that have held me back in order to experience this birth that I have earned? Again, I don't feel for many of you that you said, I want to be in the cave. I think most of you have found yourself there and recognize that this is a positive place to be, even though it doesn't have any of the material comforts or distractions that we might associate with success. I believe this is you preparing yourself for the purpose that you came to serve. So I'm going to clarify. I'm going to start with the Ace of Jades, 2 cards, please. There's 1, and the 6 of Swords, and the World card. And for the 6 of Staffs, 2 cards, please. There's the 3 of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles, and the Death card in the future, the immediate future, the 3 of Swords, and 2 cards came out, the 7 of Pentacles and the 2 of Pentacles. Okay. So I really have to say that I'm focusing on the major arcana in this reading, the World card and the Death card. So we're definitely talking about endings here. Let's look at the past. So this space of conscious manifestation is one that has prompted you to leave behind situations. It can be a familial environment. It can be a familiar work environment. It can be any team or even a community where you have lost the sense of visibility, if you ever had it, that you don't know that you can contribute to solving the challenges of a particular community or team. Your invisibility is a challenge for you in this environment. And you once felt that you were entirely suited to this community that you're in, but you see that you have, that you're experiencing the same reflection of blocks that you have carried. So you may be expected to save, help, or work for the success of others in this environment. And you're kind of done with that. You're at a place where relationships are about reciprocity, and also that you are aware that equity is a very delicate balance. In the World card is describing having prepared yourself for something. This motion of determining your manifestation is leading you to put yourself out there, expose yourself in a way that now has revealed to you the limitations of your self-belief, of your fearlessness, your courage. And you've also recognized that you've been holding back holding back in some ways because you see when you make a contribution, you don't feel that you benefit from that. You feel that others benefit from your contribution. Your showing up does not seem to benefit you in the way that you had imagined it would. It seems to always be soothing or comforting others. And that's a limitation to the way that you see your manifestation existing in the world. So I do feel that you're closing out this place of the practical one, the one who makes things work. I see that as a role that you have had in your community, in your relationships, at your job. You don't want that job anymore. You are aware that your vision is unique to you and your set of skills, and you want to contribute more than ever, but feel limited by the environment that you have been in the past. So in the present, the Six of Staffs, this is you working at being a responsible member of a team or a community. And the Queen of Pentacles shows, wow, you're more than able. You know how to do this. You are so supremely skilled at accomplishing this that you often become a default leadership. Not the leadership that is determining the course or direction, but the leader who attends to the practical resources, putting things together, creating events, managing solutions, organizing the way the team interacts together, sort of the nurturing and practical productivity manager. You're the one that makes sure work gets done, everyone's work gets done. And this is leading you more and more into collaborations. I'm sorry, my allergies are just off the hook here. The Three of Pentacles is really where you're learning to change the sense of managing or administering the way others work to a place of collaboration. You're looking more and more as an co-creator with others who want to tackle specific problems, and less about managing the entire group's functionality. I hope that's making sense to you. And in the future, we have the Death card, clarified by the Three of Swords, which is first of all telling me that you perceive patterns. You perceive lessons that you had thought that you understood, but you now recognize your responsibility in this pattern. So there's a way in which your memory recycles old wounds regularly. And that's something that has required some of the retreat energy of the cave to really allow these stories to circulate and come to their tipping point. And that tipping point has allowed you to see truths about yourself, about the way you have or have not loved yourself or others, that has been as responsible for disappointments, failures, and heartbreaks as those you would castigate others for. So this is about anti-blaming, taking responsibility for things that didn't work out, and really releasing the cyclic memory, the repetitive stories that wake you up, the dreams that enact treachery, betrayal, heartache, brokenheartedness, sadness. And then the Two of Pentacles is a way in which you recognize that what you're doing, how you're living your life, just isn't enough for you, that you want to move on, you want to grow, you want to expand, you're planning something, you want to get out of a rut. And I just really love the picture on this particular card because it recalls, I believe, technically, this is an image of a black minstrel performer. So there's already the sense that you have been masking and performing a role that you now see is not getting you anywhere. This uh, performer is on what looks like shifting sands, but it gives me the feeling of when you're standing on the beach and at the water's edge as the tide comes in and washes out, the sensation that you are moving towards the water. I love that feeling, but it's very destabilizing. And I think you're saying, my life is not stable right now. And I really want to move on. I want to move to something new. I don't want to be in the same familiar place that I've always been. And the Seven of Pentacles is about, yeah, let me look at what I'm doing. Let me dissect, understand, analyze, evaluate, assess what I'm doing here, what I have, how I've earned it. Is this really the best way? I don't know that I'm getting where I want to go. I really feel like I'm at a stagnant place. I want to move on. And that is part of what the death card is purging for you. The repetitive patterns, the sense of routine, stagnancy, of being in a rut, being in an overly familiar environment where nothing changes. And you're changing that, you're releasing that, you're surrendering that through this very intense connection with your heart. I'm going to finish up this reading with a Language of Flowers oracle. And the white carnation. And the key word is devotion. Be true and pure in thought and deed. That's a lot. And I, again, really truly feel that the cave, the retreat, is the place that you are allowing yourself to be true and pure with yourself. And that's where it starts. Thank you so much for this reading. And until next time, namaste.